Thanks for joining us for another fun-filled, exciting episode of Get the Scoop with Smirks. I'm Elisa Lewis, and I'm joined by the ever-enthusiastic Donny Edson.
Hi, everyone. We have a special treat for you today. Our friend and industry partner, Gino Hartounian from Mixed Nuts Inc., based in Los Angeles, is with us today. We're excited to chat about Mixed Nuts business, products, capabilities, then take a deep dive into pumpkin seed products, trends, and the pumpkin seed market. Gino, welcome to the podcast.
Elisa, Donny, thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here. I love what you guys are doing with the podcast. It really brings a different side into this industry. So I love it. I'm glad to be a part of it.
All right, well, let's kick things off with a little bit of nostalgia. Donny, how did Smirk's team first come and cross paths with Gino's dad, Nick Hartounian, and the fantastic team at Mixed Nuts?
Well, like most of our longtime partners, the relationship almost predates Smirks. It all began with our original business of in-shell sunflower seeds. Through Urker Grain, Mike Urker was selling in-shell sunflower seeds to Gino's dad and uncle for a long time. That's how we got to know Mixed Nuts at Smirks. I think it was around 2011 or so, I made my first trip to Los Angeles and I got to meet Nick, Gino's dad, and Vic, Gino's uncle. And at that time, we only worked with sunflower seeds with Mixed Nuts, but after touring their plant and getting to know them, we were able to start selling their pumpkin seeds as well. In addition, we were able to help start supplying Mixed Nuts with items Smirks is strong in. Over the years, we've remained very close friends with the whole family. I remember taking Nick to an awesome dinner in Dubai one time at one of our favorite Persian restaurants. And every time we're in LA, we try to make a trip to see the whole family there. Generally, there's food involved too. I remember several years ago when Nick told me he was going to take Gino on the road trip with him to see all the almond and walnut growers. I think at the time Gino was maybe 15 or 16. I'm sure he'll talk about this. And if you fast forward to today, we talk about a lot more than food ingredients. We always keep in touch about our family, business, investments, and life outside of Smirks and Mixed Nuts as well.
Ah, the power of sunflower seeds bringing people together. Now, Gino, please tell us more about Mixed Nuts. When and how did it all begin? And what sets your family-owned business apart?
So Mixed Nuts Incorporated was born in 1986, actually as a retail store, small retail store in Los Angeles. They used to roast their own nuts and sell them in small, very, very small batches to the regular consumers. A few years passed, and we completely transitioned from retail to manufacturing, closed the storefront, and just went full force into manufacturing. And now today we specialize in, after all those years, today we specialize in dry oil roasting and flavoring and mixing of all types of nuts, seeds, trail mixes, and dried fruits. Today we cater to nearly 15,000 retail stores nationwide. Under our own brand, Premium Orchard, which you might see behind me right now. And we also do quite a bit of private label for some chains as well. We do a lot of custom roasting and bulk ingredient sales to customers like Smirks, actually. And we love partnering on projects like that. And kind of what sets us apart, we're completely vertically integrated outside of being a farmer as well. So we are importers and processors and packers all under the same roof, which allows us to stay very aggressive on pricing. And since we're still family owned, we're not a huge company, so we move very quickly. We are very capable of adapting to whatever our customer needs and cater to them as quickly as we can. And hopefully, Donny, with your experience with us, hopefully it's been good, and we appreciate the business. We love working with you guys. And then also, since we're on the topic of pumpkin seeds today, I do want to mention, as of recently, we are now one of the largest importers of Lady No pumpkin seeds, which is a variety that we'll definitely be talking about in this episode, right, Donny?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you from my side, it's been really exciting to see the growth of your business over the years, especially from the smaller facility that we first visited you in. We got to go down this year in March before Expo West and check out the new facility that you've been in for 3 years. How long have you been in there for, Gino?
Going on 5.
5 years, yeah.
Going on 5.
Well, there's kind of that blank 3 year slot known as COVID, where no one really remembers what happened during that time. But yeah, and some of the things that I love about their facility is we use mixed nuts for peanut products and for seed products, but they're in different divisions of the company. They're in different divisions of the building. So even though you can buy peanuts from them, you don't have the peanut allergens when you buy the pumpkin seeds. They have completely different lines for that. I also am really impressed with the technology they have for food safety, particularly around their X-ray that they have on all their machines. Even the ability to package stuff in food service packaging and do X-ray on that too. So um, like I said, it's just been really cool to see your guys' business. I'm also really impressed with the knowledge you guys have amassed, Gino too, because you're still pretty new into the industry. But um, I have to give you a
Thank
shout
you.
out because on one of our podcasts we talked about trail mixes, and I actually picked Gino's brain for quite a while about trends and what's going on with trail mixes before we recorded that. And I promised him that I'd give him a shout out on that. And I can't remember if I did or not, so I lied and said that it was edited out. So, anyways, here's your shout out now, Gino. So,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I concur. And if anybody wants to check out that episode, that was episode number 5 on trail mixes. But speaking of you, Gino, and kind of, your own personal story, as a young second generation member of the business, how has the journey been for you personally?
It's actually kind of a funny story. Um, Back when I was 15 or 16, great memory, Donny. You mentioned it at the beginning. I went on a road trip with my father to Fresno. I was a teenager, just got my learner's permit. The last thing I wanted to do was go on a business trip, but my dad told me, Gino, you could drive all the way up there. I love driving, and I took him up on the offer. So we visited some of the almond and walnut producers, and I honestly fell in love. It was the first time I really saw firsthand what the family business was like, and it was super intriguing to me. And so from there, I worked summers at the business as a student in high school, and then I ended up going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Shout out Mustangs, and I got a major in agricultural business and a minor in entrepreneurship. So after my education, I decided to go full force into the family business, and I'm super happy about my decision. For a while, I was always debating if I should or shouldn't because of sometimes the stigma behind joining a family business out of college. But I honestly have not looked back at my decision. It's been incredible, especially since I was taken under the wings of two professionals in the industry with over 60 years of experience. So I was really catapulted into this position. And then about 2 years, I started out as the buyer when I came in out of college, which is fantastic opportunity. And about 2 years ago, I transitioned in more of an A to Z role with from vendor all the way to customer. So I act as the liaison between all parties. So I'm able to I secure the raw material and watch it go through the whole processing experience and process, and from there make sure the product gets delivered to the customers. And I also have my own customers that I like to take care of, and I love talking to Donnie. So um, it's been awesome. I'm stoked to continue this journey.
yeah, and I can say that, from my side, over the years, mixed nuts really helped us with a number of crazy projects and various projects. But they're always my first call for roasted pumpkin seeds, first and foremost. And for us, it's at Smirks, it's usually a dry roasted shine skin pumpkin kernel, or it's the Snow White pumpkin seeds that we sell as well. Um, but in addition to, as he mentioned, they're vertically integrated. They import then too, but they also, Smirks is also vertically integrated where we import stuff. So sometimes they'll work as a toll processor for us too, which is really nice, where I can bring them in a truckload and have them do whatever I like with it, to meet a customer spec.
Exactly.
Yeah, whether it's a special pack size, as I mentioned for food service, or if it's a custom flavored item that's kind of more niche, then we can work with them on that. So, and then some other things over the years, some customers have asked us for co-packers, some simple things as easy as putting banana chips into a bag for them. And so we've introduced people directly to mixed nuts, and they've been able to help with some of those co-packaging opportunities as well to help some of our customers out. So, but Gino and his team have always made things happen for our company, and they're very, very good to work with.
Yeah, Donny, you guys are your team, your whole team. I've met a majority of them, and you guys are all great people, and we love working with you guys. And I love some of the projects you bring us, and we'll do everything we can to try to make it work. Any sort of new roasting or flavoring, and I know we've done a lot on pumpkin seeds and shine skin, and a little bit of Snow White, but also quite a bit on sunflower recently. And there's a pistachio project I'm working on with your team at the moment, as well as peanuts. We've done quite a few loads of peanuts, like you had mentioned at the beginning. Um, and again, thank you for reminding everybody about the whole nitrogen flush packing in different sizes, anything from 1 ounce all the way to 25 pounds, and including stand-up pouches. And like you said, everything runs through X-ray examination, so Smirks is able to be secure in the food safety of everything that comes out of mixed nuts.
Now, we promised we were going to talk about all things pumpkin seeds today. So, a little scoop on pumpkin seeds to get us started. The global pumpkin seed market was valued at 1.8 billion with a B in 2022, and it's expected to grow to 4.2 billion in 2032. This data comes from marketresearch.biz, powered by Prodor Private Limited. These numbers cover not only pumpkin seeds, by the way, but also pumpkin seed oil, powder, and seed extracts. Pumpkin seed products in general are a strong growth category. They're also packed with nutrition, as they're known to be a powerhouse of nutrients rich in vitamins such as magnesium, zinc, and antioxidants. And they're also downright tasty, I might add.
That's for sure, Elisa. And I think pumpkin seeds is kind of a general term because there's so many different kinds of them. So I want to take a minute just to chat about some of the different varieties of pumpkin seeds and the origins they come from. So, a little bit later on, Gino will tell you more about lady nail pumpkin seeds, as he's the expert on these. But some of the other types of pumpkin seeds include snow white pumpkin seeds. And these are an in-shell seed that are much larger in size, generally used for snacking applications, or even used in the bird food too. Birds like the snow white pumpkin seeds too. But for us, they're primarily used for roasting and seasoning. And I think they're really nice for that because they have a big surface. Bigger the surface, the more area there is to add seasoning to, the more flavor you can get with every bite of them. So, and some of these are actually grown in the United States and Oregon. They do snow white pumpkin seeds in Oregon. But as you'll learn with pumpkin seeds, the majority of them do come from China. China is the king of pumpkin. They do a very good job on pumpkin. They have for a long time as well. And these things are measured by centimeters or by millimeters, depending on which way you lay down the pumpkin seed. But generally speaking, you'll see them sized anywhere from a size 8 to a size 13, with 8 being the smallest and 13 being an absolute behemoth of a pumpkin seed. The most popular size that we see in the U.S. is a size 11. That's the most common you'll see for a snow white pumpkin seed. The next variety of pumpkin seeds, which I think is the most popular and what we sell the most of, is the shine skin pumpkin kernels. And they're just that. They're a kernel. They grow inside a shell. The shell is removed, leaving the kernel. And they're referred to as shine skin because of their shiny appearance. So they're kind of shiny and green when you look at them. And at Smirks, we work with 3 different grades of them. There's an A grade, there's an A plus grade, and there's a double A grade. Double A is the top quality. It's the one that we emphasize most for people who are doing a straight retail pack, where it's going right into retail packaging. We also like to use double A's more for roasting as well because they roast really nice and they're uniform in color. We'll bounce back to an A grade. A grade is more of a variance in color. Maybe instead of being a nice green, they're a little lighter in green color. And A grade primarily for us is for people who are using it as an ingredient where there's being coating done. So if you think about a granola, you're covering it in oil, you're covering it in sugar, you're covering it in cinnamon, you're adding it with things and you're baking it. So the appearance isn't really as important it is when you're doing a straight pack of it. So a lot of our granola customers, our cereal customers, bar customers, they like the A grade. Also for the pet food applications, a lot of them use A grade as well too. And then the A plus is just a mixture of the two. So generally it's somewhere between 20 and 30% A grade and 70 to 80% double A grade. And what it does is just take advantage of the little bit less cost that an A grade is, but still the quality of the double A, and puts them together. So this really happened when the tariff started from China, when they added the 25% tariff on to help try to keep the cost down on the pumpkin seed a little bit, because 25% is a lot. And so you'll see people use those still for retail packs. You'll see them use them for roasting as well. And so that's just another option out there that generally is just a few cents cheaper than what the double A is, and just a few cents more expensive than what the A grade is. Um, Again, China is the main producer of shine skin pumpkin seeds. There is very small production, mostly for conventional of these, out of Oregon. And then we've actually started to see some organic production of shine skin seeds from Mexico as well, with a small production, generally a little bit more expensive than what the Chinese product is. The other kind of pumpkin kernel is what we call a GWS, which stands for grown without shell. So GWS pumpkins are another green kernel, much like shine skin, with the difference being that they're grown inside the pumpkin without a shell on them. These are not as popular in the US, but they're very popular in Europe. You'll really in Europe see them on top of all the baked breads when they add sunflowers and pumpkin seeds on top. They're very popular for that. And the primary region for growing the GWS is again China. But however, Austria has been growing these for a very long time too. They're referred to as Styrian pumpkin kernels from Austria. So if you ever hear the word Styrian pumpkin kernels, that is the variety that they grow in Austria. And generally speaking, the price for the Styrian is not that far off from the Chinese prices. Sometimes it can even be a little bit better, both from the GWS or if you use them interchangeably with a shine skin on a conventional basis. So the conventional ones can be very similar in pricing depending on the year. On the organic side, they're always a little bit more expensive than the Chinese ones. But for those who are trying to find an item that is not from China, that's a good one to look at. Funny story here at Smirks, back in the day when we didn't know what we were doing, sometime around 2011, we went ahead and ordered a container of pumpkin kernels. We brought them in. They were GWS. We had no idea what a GWS versus a shine skin was, and we learned very quickly that all of our customers use shine skins, not GWSs. So we got schooled quickly in the very beginning when we were learning about pumpkin a long time ago. So please don't make the same mistakes we did. Our team's here to help you. Gino's here to help you. Someone will help you. Just make sure you know which pumpkin seed you're buying. So, and then also in recent years, we've seen more pumpkin production going on inside the United States. As I mentioned before, Oregon. Also now there's some cool stuff happening in Illinois. And there's some farms out there and some processing that are starting to do some different pumpkin kernels there too. And they're slowly increasing their capacity. So that's something we're watching closely as people do want to buy more stuff from the U.S., especially pumpkin seeds have been hard to find. Um, so I know you sell various pumpkin products, Gino, from lady nails to pepitas to Snow White, in-shell pumpkin. I'm curious what trends and applications you're seeing these days with pumpkin seeds.
Donny, great rundown. Definitely a lot more than I was going to mention. That is a lot of good stuff. And like you said, there are a lot of different varieties. GWS, shine skin, or also it's called pepitas as well. I'm sure some people have heard it being called pepitas instead of shine skin. And then Snow White and Lady Nail. They all have different varieties of use, and pepitas, because it's without the shell, it's typically the easiest to use and the most applications, from trail mixes, obviously, snack bars, granolas, yogurt. Recently, acai bowls a lot, and it's always been a common salad topper. But you could also eat it simply just roasted and salted or roasted with flavor. A lot of people are doing flavored pepitas recently, and it's a great snack and it's super healthy. With all the new health trends going on, pumpkin seeds have really taken off and they've gained a lot of popularity in the last several years, I would say. But yeah, like you stated, the pepitas, three different grades: eat it raw or roasted with the kernel. Has many different applications. The Snow White, it's like you said, it still has the shell, and typically it's meant to be cracked out of shell and consumed like that. And then our favorite here at Mixed Nuts is the Lady Nail variety, which comes out of Bulgaria. It's a much more specialty item, much more unique. It's a much smaller crop, and it's called Lady Nail because hopefully this doesn't sound unappealing, but it's shaped long like a lady's fingernail, in the fact that it's long and skinny and kind of sharp at the end. And what makes this variety different is that the shell is very, very, very thin. So it can be consumed with or without the shell. The shell adds a level of crunch to the flavor of the lady nail pumpkin, and it is a big source of the fiber and protein in that variety of pumpkin. So, like I said, it's been gaining a lot of popularity recently. In the last 2 to 3 years, we have become the largest importer of this item in the United States, and we absolutely love it. So, um, I don't know, Donnie, is Smirks doing any business with Lady Nail Pumpkin at the
We
moment?
do a little bit of lady nail pumpkin seeds raw that we sell to some customers that roast them in different ways on the East Coast, actually. So, yeah, we haven't gotten into the roasted application of them yet. And funny enough, Gino, when we were planning out the podcast a few days ago, and I told you that I like to eat Snow Whites, shell and all, and you laughed at me because you said you're not supposed to do that. That I should be buying lady nails and eating those shell and all. But I don't know. I still like the shells on the Snow Whites too. So I know people eat them different ways. So we found that pretty funny though.
I
Yeah.
mean, whatever you like, Donnie, whatever you like, but I highly recommend the thinner shell, and the lady nail might be a little bit tastier, but that's just personal preference. So you do
Yeah,
you.
I'll try them out always. So yeah, I know we carved some jack o' lanterns yesterday, so we got some pumpkin seeds waiting to roast at our house right now with my daughters. So very exciting times. They also want to plant
Nice.
them and see what happens. So oh man. Well, I'll talk a little bit from my side, what I've seen with the pumpkin over the years. So um, we've seen it used several different ways. I'm going to focus mostly on the shine skin kernels because that's the biggest item for Smirks. One of the items that we import millions of pounds of here. So um, some of the important notes, on the spectrum of pricing compared to other nuts and seeds, pumpkins are generally more expensive than sunflowers and peanuts when considering them for a trail mix. However, they're usually less than other items depending on the year. Obviously, we all know what's going on with walnuts and almonds right now. Those things are pretty cheap. So the pumpkins fall right in line with those right now from a price standpoint. But traditionally, they're less expensive than those ones are. And traditionally, they're less expensive than cashews are as well, too. But of course, pumpkin is an allergen-free ingredient. So if you're working on an allergen-free mix, then it's great to use them for that. Um, Pumpkins are really versatile, especially shine skins, snow whites, as we mentioned from seasoning. But the shine skins are really versatile. They're very tough. They handle seasoning well. They handle roasting well. Over the years, we've seen a lot of
Hmm.
success with companies that make a straight packed pumpkin seed item that has some value add of some variety to it, whether it be simply dry roasted and salted, or sprouted and salted, or even coated with some kind of a slurry and then baked. I've seen some cool ones where you make a slurry with cocoa powder and seasonings in there, and you bake it on there, and it just sticks to the pumpkin, and it's just a great flavor as well. So all of those have been great items over the year. But in addition to straight packs, we sell pumpkin seeds for granolas, cereals, bars, mixes for breads, and salad toppers. The possibilities are pretty endless on these, and some of the cool innovations we've seen more recently are pumpkin protein powder. This is simply made by removing the pumpkin oil from the kernels, which concentrates the protein level of the powder, and it's milled down into something that you can work with. Pumpkin seed butter is also one that I think still has so much room to grow. Pumpkin seed butter is really a blank canvas for flavors to be added into, and there's a nice balance of fat in pumpkin, so it makes a creamy product that's just starting to be used as an ingredient. So I do think from an innovation side, if you're listening to this and you really like tinkering around with stuff, making pumpkin seed butter and seeing what you can do with it, making dressings out of it, using it inside of granolas to see how it coats and bakes. I just think pumpkin seed butter is a really cool item. And again, it's very versatile, allergen free, and just something I think has a lot of room to grow. So, a couple of things that my family does at home is we like to use pumpkin seeds on top of vegetables. So, what we do is just take raw pumpkin seeds and put them inside of a dry pan. We turn the heat on. We just keep stirring them until they're lightly toasted. And as you toast them, you'll start to see the oil come through on the pumpkin seeds a little bit, and they'll get a little shiny. And that's how you know they're done, or they'll start to take on a little color. So, we like to put them on top of vegetables or savory dishes. We like to put them on pastas. We like to put them on soup. Another favorite in my family is we make a Mexican pesto with pumpkin seeds. So, rather than pine nuts and basil, what we do
Interesting.
is we toast the seeds and we add them in a food processor with olive oil or avocado oil, cilantro, and cojita cheese. And then if you like a little spice, we throw some jalapeno in there as well. And so this makes a really cool pesto to put on top of tacos or really any kind of Mexican food. So that's another favorite that we have in our house as well.
That sounds really good. I've never heard of that, but
Try it out.
very
It's so
creative and
simple.
very,
Yeah.
it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got to say, all this talk about pumpkin and how you're using it, it's making me so hungry right now.
Go eat some lunch, Elisa.
Yeah, right. Oh, anyways, let's switch gears a little bit. It's timely to be discussing pumpkin seeds in terms of the harvest, since the harvest happens in the fall in China. So I'd love to get both of your takes on the pumpkin market and what you're anticipating with this harvest. Donny, could we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. This is an important time to follow pumpkin seeds. Really, we start following pumpkin seeds in April when we start to get, what the reports are for planting. And it's in China, sometimes difficult to actually know what information you're getting is true and accurate. So we try to get it from as many sources as we can, whether it be processors, traders, brokers, friends, whatever it is. We try to gather as much information so that we can kind of see similarities in what we're hearing. So then, as you start to progress, the information does start to come together a little bit more, and you have some ideas. So, really, what we generally watch for is what the planting is, what the carryover is from the year before, and then what's happening at harvest time. So, is harvest going well? Is harvest early? Is harvest late? Is there weather happening while harvest is going on? So, all these things can really influence the market. And generally speaking, the one we follow the closest again is shine skins. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about first. So this year with shine skins is kind of an interesting year. The crop is the exact same size or within the same size as it was for the harvest in 2022. But a couple key notes that we followed this year. First off is that the carryover last year was substantially larger than it was this year. So I think this year's carryover was maybe somewhere between 10 and 15% the size of where it was last year. So if you add the carryover to the expected yield, that'll give you a total volume available. It's smaller this year than it was last year. And a couple things that happened last year that I think are important to note are pumpkin seed prices are driven first and foremost by domestic consumption in China. They consume a lot of pumpkin seeds there, and they consume them during celebration time. So whether it's their autumn harvest festival time, their autumn fall festival that just happened at the beginning of October, or if it's the Chinese New Year that happens in January. When they get together, they eat a lot of seeds and nuts. So those are two things that can move the market really fast on pumpkin seeds, are those things. Last year, for the 2022 crop, China was still on lockdown, so there was no festival in October. They were still on lockdown right up until the end of the Chinese New Year. That's when they opened everything back up. So it's important to note that last year, even though the crop was the same size as this year, there wasn't as much internal demand in China. So for us, that makes us a little bit bullish on the market this year because the crop is the same size with a smaller carryover. China's open for business again. They're having their festival, so we think the domestic consumption can increase in China there. In addition to that, last year, many people may recall, coming out of COVID, a lot of people had a lot of stuff in their warehouses still. So with all that extra product in our warehouse, we weren't as eager to buy stuff at harvest time, which kept the price pretty flat and level. And in Europe, I think it was even worse than it was the US. They were very, very slow to purchase in Europe. This year, everybody was ready for the harvest. We needed product at harvest time, and the harvest was late by about 3 weeks. So everything was late 3 weeks. So the supply of pumpkin seeds is not near what it was this time last year. So when you add all those things together, Europe buying again, US buying again, China open for business, crop being the same size but with a smaller carryover, to us makes us a little bit more bullish on the pumpkin seed market this year. And that pretty much, it pertains to the conventional market. That's the main one that we're watching. The organic market's kind of its own thing. And what happens in the organic market is sometimes they plant a lot and sometimes they don't. This year they did not plant near as much organic product. And what happened at harvest time was it rained. And so there was a lot of crop damage on the organic pumpkin seeds as well. So we've seen the prices of the organic pumpkin seeds go crazy, and we don't see any reason why they're going to drop. So on that side, we again think it's a good time to cover on both conventional pumpkin if you haven't, and organic pumpkin as well, because we think that stuff will remain a little bit tight this year. And pumpkin's wonky. I mean, Gino will tell you from China, I mean, you can see the price go up $1,000 a metric ton in 2 weeks. It's just crazy how fast the price can drop. So, or how fast the price can increase. So it never seems to drop as fast as it goes up. from that side. But now moving on to the Snow White pumpkin seeds, very stable. Crops around the same size as last year. There was no surge in demands last year. We haven't seen the price move hardly at all on the Snow White pumpkin seeds. So we think that one's going to remain very stable, very easy to work with. And then the last one I'll talk about before I hand it over to Gino and Elisa is that the Mexican pricing. So some of our customers have started to buy, organic shine skin pumpkin seeds from Mexico, and we had seen the prices higher 2 years ago. They came down a little bit last year, but they are creeped back up again this year as well. So we're seeing higher prices out of Mexico on the new crop that's going to be happening there too. So
Awesome. Really helpful notes, Donny. Thank you so much. Gino, could you weigh in on the market as well? We'd love to hear your thoughts on the products that you know best.
Yeah, very, very good rundown, Donnie. It was very thorough, and very accurate to what I am seeing as well. The pumpkin seed market in general has been slowly ticking up this year, so makes sense that you guys are bullish. Um, Prices have, depending on the variety, steady to increasing. We have seen as well. Pepitas in the last few weeks has just been inching upward every week, going up a little bit higher and higher. So, and there's no relief in the near future, as what people are saying. So, we will see where things pan out and how that pivots and develops as time progresses. Snow White in shell still has remained very steady over the last month or so to its opening levels, but Lady Nail Pumpkin has been very interesting this year. As I had said earlier on in the podcast, it is a specialty item with a lot smaller crop than pepitas or shine skin and Snow White seeds, and for that reason, it's a lot more volatile than these other seeds. Um, and also it's mainly only grown in Bulgaria. So for that reason, when anything happens to the crop, uh, prices shoot up. So this is one of those years. The um total available crop is what they say is about 40 to 50% less than what was assumed. So there not only have prices gone up tremendously, but it is very hard to secure raw material at this point in time. So it's something that we will see over the next month or two. Things are going to change. It's still early on. Harvest was just started happening. So as more of the pumpkin comes into the factories and gets processed, we'll see how the quality is. And hopefully whatever is remaining of that crop is going to be very good quality to kind of allow that price to relax a little bit. I'm hopeful, but signs are, because that's kind of my job. I got to be hopeful in order to buy properly for the company. But or not, some may say. But anyways, we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting year for Lady now. But yeah, sadly, it does have high volatility because of how specialty and small of a crop it is.
man, good stuff, Gino. Thanks for sharing all that. And before we finish our conversation, let's talk a little bit more about your business too, and some of the stuff you guys are doing there and what's on the horizon for you. I know you had some cool stuff you showed to us when we were out there in March visiting. Again, some of the things that I think it's cool for listeners to think about is Mixed Nuts is really, really good at dry roasting product and putting it into different kind of packaging for you or doing blending of things. So whether it's a dry roasted cashew, a dry roasted pine nut, a pumpkin, a peanut, any of these things. So if you're looking for somebody who can help you with that, or you're looking for some different products, I do suggest that you check out Mixed Nuts because they're a great partner to work on that side. So, but tell us about anything new or new projects you have on the horizon right now, Gino.
Thank you, Donnie, for mentioning some of those things. As we've talked about through this whole podcast, pumpkin seeds is definitely a specialty of ours, but it's not everything we do. It's maybe a quarter or less of our entire business. And like I said, since the Lady Nail variety has been going so well for us, we're kind of doubling down on that. to present it to more customers and get it to more demographics, because we truly believe it's a fantastic product. Outside of that, our custom roasting and flavoring capabilities, we do both dry and oil roasting. So it opens the availability of different options and stuff we could do for different customers. And I explained this earlier, Donnie. I love when you guys come to me with new, unique projects like a slivered roasted almond or pistachio splits, and you want it dry roasted. Um, we specialize in that, and we're able to, because of the wide variety of packaging styles, anything from 1 ounce single serve packs all the way up to 25 pounds. We could pack it however our customers need. So we're definitely pushing that as well to get more into the food manufacturing and food service side of our industry. And last but not least, we can never lose focus of kind of what our bread and butter is, which is selling to the retail customer. And we've launched, and I think you saw this, Donnie, but it's right behind me, the deluxe mix. It's a line of about 5 trail mixes up there. And it is a new take on trail mixes. Trail mixes have always been super cost friendly, and uses a lot of fillers like peanuts and sunflower kernels and stuff like that. So this is a brand new line, very unique, with a bunch of new unique ingredients. We're trying to keep the additives to an all-time low, and it's a much higher price point. Not much higher, but it's more quality for the product you're getting. The nut sizes are larger, higher quality. So we're stoked on that, and it's just now hitting retail shelves. But yeah, that's everything we're focusing on at the moment.
Wow, good stuff, guys. Thanks for sharing your insights on pumpkin seed trends, applications, and this season's crop. And Gino, we so appreciate you joining us today. It's just been wonderful to hear your own personal story and where you've come from and where you are now, and the thriving business you're helping shape at Mixed Nuts.
Yeah, it's always been a pleasure working with you, Gino, and of course Nick and Vic too. We appreciate this partnership, the partnership between Mixed Nuts and Smirks, and it's been fun talking shop, talking about pumpkins. It's been fun prepping for the podcast as well. I had a lot of fun with this one. So, but
Yeah.
it's been awesome to watch your family's business continue to grow and everything you're working on. And I'm really excited to see what you get everybody into in the future. So, and again, we hope our listeners will think about Gino and his team when they're looking for a vertically integrated West Coast partner for all these different items. Gino and the amazing Mixed Nuts team can be reached through their website at mixednutsinc.com or just Google Mixed Nuts.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate the support. You guys have been amazing with everything that we do together, and this has been an awesome opportunity. I'm honored to be a part of it. I love how Smirks is kind of modernizing our industry a little bit and bringing in these new things and tools for customers, consumers, and people in our industry to kind of follow along with and just learn more. So I'm super happy to be a part of it. And again, we love working with you guys, and you guys are amazing. The whole team is amazing. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
And thanks again. Well, hey, that wraps up another fantastic episode of Get the Scoop with Smirks podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And if you have any questions or comments about our podcast, please reach out to us at whatsnew@smirks.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. Take care.